Welcome to Vegas. Your losing streak is about to begin. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Lots of welcomes.
Yeah. Welcome to Vegas, where your ass is going to explode.
Oh my god, you guys. Holy shit.
This is episode 112 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm tired.
I'm Katie.
This week we are talking about 1995's Leprechaun 3. A almost perfect movie if you get rid of some of the racism and gay slurs.
They should have called it Leaving Lep Vegas.
No, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, the opportunity was right there, because I'm pretty sure Leaving Las Vegas came out before this. I didn't see if this movie had alternate titles like the second one did. That would be amazing if that was one of them and we just kind of stumbled upon it.
It's Leprechaun 3, but the E's are 3s.
Nice.
It's
Love
stylized like 7.
I cannot wait to talk about the plot keywords in this movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought about making that just a segment from now on before we start talking about the movie. Might
It's
as
so
well
good.
be.
We almost never skip them, so it might as well be.
All right, before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by our Patreon donor and former Pigster guest, Irene.
Oh, I think that guy's got cabbage on his head. Oh, I might take that cabbage off your head. Oh, he can't even hear a word I'm saying.
Thanks, Irene.
Woo! Thank you.
Cabbage head monster, Irene, or cabbage head creature, whatever the fuck that one was called.
Cabbage head monster.
All right.
Baking
Leprechaun
goddess.
3. So Katie, this was a first time watch, correct?
100%.
What'd you think?
It was alright. I like the first user review on IMDb says Leprechaun 3 is simultaneously better and worse than Leprechaun 1 and 2. And I kind of feel like that's true. Like,
I think this movie is a way better than both.
My problem with it is that the two main characters, Scott and Tammy, their acting was really bad.
Disagreed.
Oh.
I will say, for the most part, I don't care about either of the main characters in this movie. I just think, like, the premise and then, like, the kills are way better.
Scott starts turning into a leprechaun and has sick limericks. Alright?
Okay, when he actually starts turning, then I really appreciate his work. But up until then, he's just like a googly-eyed schmuck. Like, I don't know. But overall, like, I still really appreciate the ways that, like, they're bringing, like, number one, introducing how the leprechaun is a part of the movie, and then number two, getting the people to, like, the point where they interact with him. And lots of magic in this one, like way more magic than before. So
Fun fact, while we're talking about googly eyes, he apparently wrote Kong Skull Island and Power Rangers.
That actor?
Scott did?
Yeah. That is blowing my mind right now.
It's wild.
I like how it's like John Gattens is actor and writer known for Flight, Real Steel, and Norbit.
Good old Norbit. I think
I'd much rather have Leprechaun 3 above any of those.
Oh, the 2017 Power Rangers. I never saw that, so I don't know if I stan or not.
You should. It's delightful.
The Shaggy Dog.
Is this the
Oh shit! He
What?
was in Pumpkinhead 2, and Witchboard 2.
Yeah, I saw Witchboard too, but I have not actually
Alright.
watched that movie. So,
All right, bro.
Kit, I know the Leprechaun is turned to stone by I think like the flute, right? In the Hood movie.
I think so.
Like I know like that becomes a thing starting with this movie. But I know there's like I couldn't remember, like I'm assuming this fucking weird amulet is like the only time it shows up in this movie.
I appreciate. I was thinking about this while watching. I appreciate that like all of the Leprechaun movies aren't really sequels, so much as they're just like
Random
alternate
story.
reality,
Yeah.
like Leprechaun films, since they all start like having nothing to do with where the last one left off.
Yeah. All right. So the first plot keyword I picked is breast growing.
Yeah, that was gonna be mine. I like that one, and statue comes to life. And then there's a lot of references, so it's like reference to Metallica, which I don't remember.
I don't want to know why the Smurfs movie is under breast growing. Right. Somehow higher than Howard Stern's Private Parts.
Yikes. Then there's a lot of like ones that really don't matter, like Car Trouble, Hitchhiking, Sequel. Okay. I do appreciate character name and title for all of them, though.
I like
And
actor
number
for
and
his
title.
previous role.
It Chapter 1 is the top one for reference to Metallica.
That makes more sense than this, but I don't remember them referencing Metallica.
Whenever what's his name's turning into the Leprechaun, he starts doing his weird little rhymes and is like talking shit to the waitress lady, and cuts some fucking dumb rhyme, and she's like, "Oh, that was Metallica."
Yeah.
Oh wait,
yeah.
no, it's White Zombie.
Gotcha.
So weird. Let's see, Black Brawl. What do you think the number one movie is for Black Brawl?
Wait, Barbed Wire.
What's your guess, Katie?
I couldn't even.
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh.
So, like, I think these are they always usually end up being kind of more like recent movies. Because I think it has to do with like what's being rated and reviewed kind of more currently.
Yeah.
Let's see Showgirl.
Stabbed in the forehead. Number 1 is Deadpool, but number 2 is Sallow.
Oh my god.
Extremely funny to me.
Showgirl is V for Vendetta, and then Citizen Kane.
How is it those two over Showgirls?
Right? Actor reprises previous role.
I also like Killing a Shopkeeper, but for some reason Leprechaun 3 is the only movie where anyone has ever killed a shopkeeper, I guess.
Okay, so I mean, I guess this makes sense. Actor reprises previous role. Number 2, the next Jurassic. Not even the. Well, yeah, I guess Jurassic World Dominion, I guess, is the next one. It says 2022.
Yeah. Because, yeah.
For Chainsaw, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is number 8. Number 1 is The Addams Family.
Let's see what Killing a Shopkeeper is. Leprechaun 3 is the only movie with killing a shopkeeper. Reference to the Four Tops. Leprechaun 3.
That's gotta be the only one there, right?
Nope. An episode of The Nanny and an episode of Ray Donovan. Reference to Rip Taylor. If Jackass isn't in here.
It's got to be number 1.
Nope, not even on the list.
damn
Leprechaun 3.
Lies.
Girls Will Be Girls, which I don't know what that is. Episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Episode of American Horror Story. An episode of The Simpsons.
Okay, this one bothers me because under the tag for death, there's like a bunch of nonsense, and then The Good Place is number 12. Every single person in The Good Place is dead. How is that not number 1?
Statue comes to life. What's your guys' guess? I'll say it's not current. It should be sort of obvious.
The thing that comes to my mind is Tales from the Dark Side movie, but I doubt that's it.
I'm drawing a blank on all living statues.
It is Ghostbusters.
God damn it. That was so obvious.
I would never have. Night at the Museum is a good one.
Night at the Museum is 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the animated Hercules movie.
Gargoyles is all the way down at 8.
What? For Electrocuted to Death, I mean, it's a lot of stuff you'd expect, but at number 4, there is a movie called Airplane Mode that is a comedy starring Logan Paul.
Ew.
Hard
Boo.
pass.
Boo.
What do you think number 1 is? This will be my last one. Number 1 for Severed Toe.
Big Lebowski.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which was supposed to star Alex Jones,
What?
apparently. Alex
I don't
Jones.
recall a severed toe.
I don't either, but Alex Jones goes on a rant on one of his episodes about how James Gunn wanted to cast him as Star-Lord in Volume 2 instead of Chris Pratt.
What universe does he live in?
I don't know.
One with a lot of chili.
So, yeah. I like how under Pot of Gold, it's like the only other tag that has like the rest of the Leprechaun movies also.
All of them. Alright. So, this movie, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, written by David Dubose, credit to Mark Jones for creating The Leprechaun, starring
Thanks, Mark.
Warwick Davis, John Gattens, Lee Armstrong, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2's Caroline Williams, and Marcelo Tubert, who is the pawn shop owner at the beginning, who was also the father in the Puerto Rican Day Parade episode of Seinfeld.
Yes.
So we're 3 for 3.
3 in a row.
Caroline Williams looked so different
With
with her like fake whatever was going on with her until she's sexy.
I always forget it's her whenever she's in the wig and the like leopard print shirt.
And the like fake saggy boobs. I was like, what is going on with this lady?
This movie should have got an Academy Award for makeup.
I mean, truly though.
They finally perfected the leprechaun look too.
Oh yeah, it's like real good in this one, which is crazy because it's probably like right around the time they're like, I assume the budget was cut because this one didn't go to a theater. This is the first time it was just straight to video.
Scott, whenever he's turning into a leprechaun, especially, they like have him in the operating room, and he just has like a stomach looking like fucking hamburger meat.
Oh my god, I was gonna say his stomach and ab area is so fucking gross.
I always forget that scene's in this movie until like it starts happening, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's like a weird like hospital scene in this movie.
Yeah,
Some good gags.
Yeah.
I think if I like this movie was totally fine, but it was like a little like I know it was only an hour and a half, but it felt really long because I felt like the scenes just like went on longer than they should. Like
I always feel
for
the
me,
opposite, where like I feel like they cram in a lot into this movie, because like I guess maybe it's not, but it feels like there's more deaths in this movie than like the previous two. As well, the first one there's like 2 deaths. The second one, I feel like there's only like a couple. I don't know. For some reason, it feels like there's more people dying in this movie. But then you also get like just ridiculous shit of the Leprechaun just like bombing around Las Vegas and hanging out with an Elvis impersonator and shit. And
Yeah.
I think it's probably also that like the first, half hour, 40 minutes is just him going back and forth with the shop owner.
Yes, the beginning of this movie, I will say, like, takes a minute to kind of kick into gear, but I feel like once you get past the pawn shop stuff, where it is just like, I would have watched an entire movie of no one dying, but just Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun just walking around Las Vegas and interacting with people.
Yeah, and I guess like this, instead of only following like just the Leprechaun and just the like whoever he's trying to kill, there's like more groups of people that you're following, because it's like you're following the casino manager and like his thing where he owes money, and then also like Loretta and Fazio. So it's just like there was like some sequences where they cut between 3 different like separate groups of people doing stuff, so it just felt like that I don't know, it just felt like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I feel like this is one of the more underappreciated ones, because usually people will talk about like 1, 4, and then like the Hood movies. I feel like 2 and 3 kind of get bypassed a lot, which 2 minus like the lawnmower boobs, I feel like it's fine. It's like I like the movie, but it's not one I ever feel like I'm like, oh, I gotta watch like Leprechaun 2. But I feel like specifically 3 and 4 are like probably like my 2 like go-tos. All right, well, tell us about Leprechaun 3.
Well, it takes place in Las Vegas, if you haven't
Spoilers.
found that out yet.
Yeah, that's like 40 minutes in.
Let's see. We're at the Pawn Place, which is a pawn shop, and a man walks in, and he has 1 leg, an eye patch, and a hook hand. So I'm assuming he didn't have very good luck in Vegas. So he comes into the pawn shop, and he's got like a sack, and he opens the sack, and it is the statue of the Leprechaun. And the Leprechaun's wearing, or he's like wearing a medallion or whatever. And the shop owner, whose name is Gupta, is like, oh, what is this? And the guy's like, oh, it's a good luck charm. And Gupta's like, He like looks the guy up and down and is just like, I can see it's working very well, or something like that. So essentially the guy's just like, hey, don't touch that medallion though. And Gupta's like, okay, sure, I'll give you $20. So the guy takes his $20 and leaves. Gupta not only immediately touches the medallion, but he puts it on, and then the statue turns into the Leprechaun, and the Leprechaun, immediately like hides or whatever, and his pot of gold shows up for some reason. So Gupta like sees the gold and is like excited because it's gold, and the Leprechaun like jumps on him from behind and bites his ear, says some racist stuff, and they're kind of like battling it out, and the Leprechaun like takes his shoe and it's just like, oh, I love shoes, and then just like bites his toe off for no reason. I was like, what is happening? And the Leprechaun in this one has like a staff. What do you call that?
I mean, yeah, I guess staff, like the thing he just like hits people with.
Shillelagh.
I was gonna say, is it a shillelagh? But that sounded maybe like, I don't know. Okay, yeah, it is a shillelagh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard the word shillelagh in fucking so long. I gave it to you the last time I heard that word.
I wasn't sure if that was like a real thing or if that was just like some sort of racist thing, so I didn't want to say it. But it is indeed a wooden walking stick or club, or cudgel, typically made from a stout, knotty blackthorn stick with a large knob at the top.
Yeah,
So there you
we
are.
all know what shillelaghs are made out of.
Okay, my bad. I forgot everyone were arborists here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he's beating him with a shillelagh, and Gupta has the medal, and so the leprechaun is like scared, and he runs off. Okay, this part made me mad because this is the second time that the leprechaun has lost a piece of his own gold and then been pissed off at everybody else because he thinks they stole it. Because, like, in the last one, like, what's-her-face knocks over the thing, so the guy gets the gold. And in this one, he's just, like, running off, and he's just, like, slopping his gold all over the place. So he needs to calm down. Gupta is pissed because, like, he wanted the pot of gold, obviously. So now we meet like, the main character, Tammy, and her car is broken down on the side of the road, and she's trying to hitchhike. And the other main character, Scott, pulls over so fast that he almost kills both of them because he's got his googly eyes set on Tammy because she's a beautiful lady. There's like this whole weird back and forth about like her car being broken or whatever, and so she's just like, hey, can you just give me a ride to work? So meanwhile, back at the pawn shop, Gupta boots up his CD-ROM about leprechauns, and he's just learning about leprechauns.
This is so good.
I was dying. He's typing in fucking Leprechaun with his one hand, like a fucking 4th grade video game.
And
Let's learn
just,
about leprechauns
just
together.
I want that fucking just floppy disk fucking game he's got so bad.
Yeah, so it's just like an animated thing where some guy is like telling you about leprechauns. And so in this movie, we are actually told the rules for leprechauns in this one instead of just, trying to figure it out. I don't know if all of the rules go forward though, so we'll see. So the leprechaun. So meanwhile, Gupta's trying to, learn about leprechauns. He's just having Gupta's learning corner over here, and the leprechaun, meanwhile, is like in his back storage room counting his gold, and that's when he realizes one is missing, and he's pissed. And I'm like, bro, that literally was your fault, but whatever. Then we get some info about Tammy. She works at this really shitty casino called the Lucky Shamrock, but she is a magician's assistant. And
You're gonna say a mutant's assistant, which sounds way cooler.
I don't know what I was trying to say. I think I was trying to say like musician's assistant, which I don't even know what that is. But
way less cool.
Way less cool than both of those things.
Yes.
Gupta has. So, like I said, this goes back and forth a lot. So we'll see. Gupta finds the gold. And then that's when we learn that for every 1 shilling that a human has of leprechaun gold, you get 1 wish, which we, I guess, never knew before, but there's a lot of wishing in this one, so I kind of liked that, like, tilt on the story or whatever.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Scott has dropped Tammy off, and he's like, wow, I've never been in a casino before. Will you sneak me inside? And so she does, essentially. She's like, don't gamble, but you can, like, come in, and then we'll meet up later. So Gupta, like, goes back. He's, like, looking for the leprechaun. He's got a gun now, and he's, like, distracted by a mirage of the leprechaun, and meanwhile the leprechaun shoots him with an arrow, and he drops the medallion, and then the leprechaun so Gupta, like, holds his gun up to the leprechaun, and the leprechaun says, if you're gonna linger, I'll give you the finger, and sticks his finger in the gun. So the gun explodes.
Oh, the rhymes in this are so good.
He really
incredible.
He was like on another level with this one. He is quite the stinker. Gupta sticks the medallion in the leprechaun's mouth, and he kind of like throws up green a little bit, and then Gupta like gets out and shuts him in the storeroom. So Scott is just like in the casino, googling and eyeing around. We meet Fazio, who is Tammy's magician. I'll probably say musician at this point because I don't know why. It wants to come out. And essentially there's just like this whole back and forth between him and Tammy and Loretta. Her name's Loretta, right? Loretta, yeah.
Yeah.
And basically just to establish that he is a dick. And so I just kept writing the manager of the casino, but his name is Mitch.
Yeah.
And so they're both gross and dicks, and we hate them. So Fazio at least is funny. And then so fucking like we don't really get any backstory for Scott at all, except for that he has a check from his parents in his pocket for like $23,000. And he just whips it out and is just like, hey, where can I cash this check? And Mitch is like, are you old enough to be in here? And he like looks at the check and he's just like, oh, you're old enough. Yeah, go over there and cash this check. Which I can't imagine, first of all, having $23,000, but then to just be like, yeah, I'm just going to cash it in for a bunch of casino chips sounds just...
You don't have that
YOLO
in savings?
I don't...
She's not liquid, okay?
It's all the avocado toast that I buy. I just can't save any money.
It's tied up in stocks. Okay.
Avocado stock.
Yeah.
Yes. So he cashes it for casino chips. There's this like, I'm not even sure like why this is a thing, but there's like this whole thing about how Mitch owes money. So there's like these two thugs that like are pretty funny, but I don't really feel like they needed to be in this.
Yeah, they don't really do anything.
No, I mean, like, there's this one back and forth where they're talking about, like, what kind of underwear they wear and, like, how their socks are uncomfortable or something. And then they get killed, but, like, I don't feel like they needed to be in it. So, back at the shop, the leprechaun comes out from the back by himself and drinks Gupta's whiskey, I assume. He does a bunch of rhymes, and then Gupta's like, hey, okay, let's come to, like, an agreement. I will give you the medallion if you give me half of your gold. And the leprechaun's like, I don't think so. And he magics the fishing rod.
Well, he agrees at first. Like, he tricks him, and he's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, just, put that thing away. And, like, he, like, hides it under a hat, and that's what he does, like, the fishing line thing, and, like, gets it out of, like, takes it back or whatever, and then he's just like, fuck you,
just
Gupta.
Like flings it. Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah.
Then Scott, of course, fucking loses all of his money. Whew. This stressed me out so much. He just loses and loses, and then he gets mad, and he's like, obviously at this point you find out that the casino is rigged, which, shocker. Loretta is the one that is like, I don't even know I don't know anything about I don't know anything about casinos or whatever they're playing, craps or shoots or something.
Ladders.
And ladders. She like has a thing underneath. Oh, it's a roulette, right? It's got that like big thing that's like. So that's the ball in there. Loretta is basically like stops him from winning, right? And so he's like pissed off and he's like, I can't believe this happened. And Loretta's just like, hey, trust me, you'll win. Nobody loses this bad and then doesn't win. And I'm like, come on, Loretta. So he's like, oh, I don't have any more money. All I have is this watch that my grandpa gave me. And she's like, oh, go across the street and pawn the watch. Like, trust me. So he goes to do that. Whew, meanwhile, Fazio and Tammy are doing magic, and there's like these this really cool 80s music playing, and like halfway through their show you hear the tape with the music like rewind and then start over. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're like doing tricks for like a room of like 10 people. It's pretty sad. Gupta meanwhile, is like getting fucked up by the leprechaun and I guess dies. Scott comes in and is just like, hello, hello. And he finds Gupta and he calls the cops and literally says, I found a dead person.
Yeah, that's what you say.
And they're like, he's like, yeah, I'm sure he's dead. Okay, I'll stay here. But then Scott like goes back and sees the CD-ROM about leprechauns and he finds the shilling and he's just like, oh, I can make a wish. Cool. And he wishes that he was having a winning streak at the casino. So he disappears from the pawn shop right as the leprechaun comes to like axe him in the back. So basically Scott is now back at the table with Loretta and he is winning because the shilling is like moving and telling him where to put his bets on. The Mitch comes over and is just like being a dick to Loretta about him winning and she's just like, I don't know what to tell you, like it's not working. And so he shuts down the table and meanwhile like the leprechaun does not know where Scott went. So during this whole time we're just getting cuts of the leprechaun like roaming around Vegas and stuff.
Oh, it's the best. He goes across the Elvis impersonator and shit, and at one point, like in the background, like I think it's during one of these scenes. Maybe I can't remember. I feel like there's a scene that like I know Warwick Davis is in the background without makeup at some point. Like as they're like shooting around Las Vegas, like he's on like a slot machine.
Oh.
I also believe the cast of Night of the Demons 2, I think I read, was somewhere in the background of this.
Yeah, I saw ahead. I would not have recognized anybody though. Yeah, he's just running around Vegas to his mischievous music. Mitch, shuts down the table and it's just like, hey boy, are you staying at the hotel? And he's like, no. And he's like, here, stay here. Here's a key. Go up to your room and like take a break and then come back and keep winning. So basically, like he's gonna go up to his room and everybody in this movie then decides that they're gonna try and rob him essentially. So he runs into Tammy and she's like pissed. She's like, hey, I told you not to like gamble or whatever. And he's just like, hey, I won $100,000 or something like that. And she's like freaked out for him and it's just like, okay, go cash out immediately, go up to your room, do not leave. And he's like, all right, whatever. I just wrote Leprechaun and Elvis. Then so he's finally back at the Shamrock. He goes in there and he sees Fazio doing magic at like a table, and Fazio says something to him like, hey little guy, cute costume or something like that, and the leprechaun turns his rabbit into a pile of green poop.
It's so gross.
And then this is when Loretta tells Fazio that Scott had won all that money and like they're gonna rob him. Then there's like some scenes of the leprechaun gambling. Fazio breaks into Scott's room and doesn't find the money, but he does get the coin. And when Scott comes out and it's just like, bro, what are you doing? He just like throws down a smoke bomb and runs out. But then the leprechaun comes in with his room service, and they fight basically. The leprechaun bites Scott's arm, and this is when Scott takes like a steak knife and just stabs him right in the forehead.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Which I thought was a really good shot. Too bad like it didn't kill him, but his blood is basically like green and all acidy, and it like burns Scott's arm, and Scott like throws him out a window, which I was not expecting.
Sometimes you just gotta defenestrate your enemies.
I mean, listen, if I were trying to fight a leprechaun, stabbing in the forehead and throwing out a window are like the two things I would do. So it's good to know that it doesn't work. And then I think the leprechaun says like, next time I'll take the elevator. I don't know. I can't do the accent. This is when Scott starts like freaking out. He's having issues because, as we said, he starts to morph into a leprechaun.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. It's pretty good looking though. Because like earlier when Scott was like looking at the CD-ROM, or somebody was looking at the CD-ROM, there was like a thing about how leprechauns hate if another leprechaun comes into their territory, and it's a big thing. And I was like, at the time, I was like, why is this information that we need to know? Well, they really showed me.
If this movie taught me anything, it's that leprechauns are territorial.
That's right. Just
Who
like
knew?
cats. Okay, so there's like a back and forth with Fazio and Loretta because he didn't get the gold, and essentially Loretta's like trying to Fazio leaves. Loretta's trying to explain to Mitch that the coin was like lucky and they like can't get it to work, and he's holding on to it, and he's like, basically he wishes that Tammy would be into him. And Loretta's like, haha, idiot. And then Tammy comes up, and this is like the weirdest sequence ever, because the way that she's talking to him is like she's talking to like a middle schooler, or I'm sorry, like a kindergartner, but like sexually. It's just so weird. So she's essentially just like, hey, let's go upstairs and do it. And he's like, oh man. But then like they're in the elevator, and she's like, I like to play dirt, or I like it rough or something, and starts smacking him around and shit. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on? It was just so weird.
And he's like, hold on, I've got it from here, and starts like kicking the shit out of himself.
And just like throwing himself
so
into, and she's just like, oh man, it's just really strange. Loretta realizes that the way he made it work was because he literally said, I wish, whatever. So she follows them. So meanwhile, they go back up to his apartment, and it's like really dumb looking, but Tammy's just like, it looks like a museum. And it's just like a ridiculous looking room. So Tammy is like doing a striptease essentially. Loretta sneaks in and steals the coin. And so Tammy immediately snaps out of it, and she's like freaked out. She's like, what did you do to make me come up here? And he's just like, what are you talking about? So she kicks him in the balls, and he fires her essentially. Then there's just like a scene of Scott eating like 12 different kinds of potatoes, and he's Irish now, and he's like doing rhymes to the waitress.
Is that sigh because this scene is very good?
It's a sigh of quality.
Yes.
I do wish I had all those potatoes though. He had like potato
Bangers and mash sounds
pancakes and
delightful.
yeah, and he probably had fries and baked potatoes and tater tots and hash browns and like all kinds of stuff. But then whatever he was saying to the waitress, obviously I just like didn't even comprehend, because he was like saying rhymes or something, and she was like, I have no idea what's happening. So then this is one of two very ridiculous scenes. So the leprechaun shows up in Mitch's the leprechaun shows up like in Mitch's hotel room, and like makes the TV come on, so that there's a lady in there that's like, hey Mitch, like if she doesn't want you, I do. And she like takes her top off or whatever, and like he's like, oh cool, to the TV lady. But then she like comes out of the TV, and then like while they're like rolling around on the bed or whatever, the leprechaun is like on TV just like doing different infomercials. He's like a doctor, and he's like a priest, and like all kinds of stuff. Oh. I think the scene I think the scene, like whenever you were talking about the Night of the Demons people, I think I read that one of them was dressed as like a father, and there's like one scene where when Scott walks in, and there's like Father Bob or something that's gambling, and because I wrote him down, but then he was not in the rest of the movie, and I was like really confused as to why he was like important, and it just like snapped together when I said that the leprechaun was pretending to be like talk to Mitch about virtue or whatever. So basically, Scott finds out that Tammy like went up to Mitch's room, and so he's pissed off. So he finds her, and she's basically like crying, and was just like, "Hey, this kind of, like this kind of thing happens to me all the time, and it's like not that bad, except this time I got fired, and I don't know what I'm gonna do or whatever." And then Scott is actually a normal person, and is like, "Hey, this isn't cool. We need to go talk to him because like we can't let him do this to other people or whatever." So they're gonna go up there. So Mitch is like making out with this lady, but then she turns into a robot? Question mark.
Very cool looking robot.
She's like straddling him, and he opens his eyes, and it's like, oh, this is a horrifying melted rubber mask on a pile of circuits with some fake
With
titties.
boobs also, yeah.
It's so
I was
dumb.
like-
I love it so much.
I was like, head till what? And so essentially she just electrocutes him.
It's a very roundabout way to electrocute someone.
I have to say, I think the lawnmower was a much better. This was just like so ridiculous. I just couldn't figure out what was happening. So the leprechaun. Oh, okay, yeah. So Scott and Tammy go up to like confront Mitch, but he's been electrocuted, and the leprechaun jumps out, and they're basically just like, what's going on? And they leave, and that's when the two goons come and like confront the leprechaun. And I guess you're supposed to think that maybe they're gonna actually like stand up to him, but he immediately just like stabs one of the guy's eyes out and beats them up with the shillelagh.
I always forget
Meanwhile-
how much the fucking shillelagh's in this movie.
Yeah, it's like his main weapon in this one, which is fine, I guess, but it just like, I don't know. Did he have it in the other two?
I just want him to hit somebody in the head with this fucking pot of gold.
Yeah. That would really
What?
kill someone Well, I don't know. It also felt like he just like beat them on the back with his shillelagh, but somehow they died anyway. Like,
Yeah, you ever been
I
hit
don't
in the
know.
back?
What if you put the pot of gold over their heads and then bonked it with the shillelagh?
Oh, made him deaf.
Yeah, that sounds really uncomfortable. I would hate that.
I don't think I would like it. So
I hope no leprechauns are listening. Except for my weakness.
if you're a leprechaun, turn this off. Oh, so meanwhile, like Scott and Tammy are like escaping the casino hotel part or whatever. They go back to the pawn shop, which at this point I'm like, how has this pawn shop not been looted? It's just been like open to the public this whole
People in Las
time.
Vegas are pretty calm in demeanor when it comes to things like that.
You would think I don't know. Meanwhile, Loretta has the coin, and she wishes to be beautiful and sexy. Then she goes to Fazio, and she's like, "Look at me." And she looks like, normal Caroline Williams at this point. Just she has like really short hair, and she's basically just like, "Look at me, I'm sexy." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I used this coin to make it happen." And so he immediately steals the coin and shuts her in his like changing room or whatever. And Fazio wishes to be the greatest magician in the world, which
Works out.
yeah. But it's also kind of funny because isn't he like, maybe he was, I don't know, doing his magic in a different arena. It just seems like maybe he should be somewhere better for being the greatest magician, but
I mean, pretty
so-
sure he's playing the same room David Copperfield was playing at the time.
David Copperfield, who?
How dare
Chris
you.
Angel's the only magician for me. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
What was the other guy that did like street magic?
Carrot
It was
Top.
Chris Angel. No,
Danzig.
that sounds
Glenn
right.
Danzig.
Only magic Danzig has ever done is called a Veronica.
Now that that's on Shudder, I've seen like a lot more people watching and talking about it, and it just like solidifies that I never want to watch it.
You should definitely watch it.
Everyone I've seen has said that they quit like 15 minutes in, and I feel like a real psychopath owning it.
I will say this: if you aren't watching the third segment of Erotica, you're missing out because it makes no sense.
It's the worst.
And
it's somehow the worst one.
So fucking weird. And the second segment is like 15 minutes, and 14 minutes of it is someone stripping to Danzig songs.
But new Danzig songs that are awful.
It's so good. If I didn't have to watch it again, I would make us do it for the podcast. Instead of just like that brief talk we did on Derailed or whatever episode that was, Beneath maybe.
The Neckbreaker.
God, that movie's so bad.
I just don't know if I can do it.
I'm so glad that I was like, maybe I should wait to buy this instead of pre-ordering it like Kit.
Yeah. I got a soundtrack out of it too. It came with a soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm sure that's real good.
I can't wait to listen to it.
I would have just immediately thrown that disc in the trash. Well, I hope never getting any use out of this.
Goodbye.
What do you think Veronica's score is on Letterboxd?
1. What's the lowest?
1.5.
Can you have half?
Yep, 1.2.
Wow.
Like, it's all half stars and then like 1 stars and then like super tiny slivers going forward.
Yikes.
85 5-star reviews.
How?
1.2 thousand. Oh yeah, 1.2 thousand half-star reviews.
How are there even 85 people that think it's a 5-star?
I mean, it's this. There's a lot of people that compare it to like The Room and like Trolls, like all that shit, where they're just like, it's so bad it's good. And like, no, it's just bad.
No, it's just plain bad.
Listen,
I'm
let's stop with this. It's so bad it's good.
Definitely intrigued to see what he does, because he's doing like a fucking vampire spaghetti western now, which I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what he does with like one story.
Spaghetti.
Yes, that's full of spaghetti. Instead of like,
Do you think he has any idea what a spaghetti western actually is, or do you think he just thinks it's based around spaghetti?
I think he just wants an excuse to pretend he can do like a Ennio Morricone soundtrack and call it a spaghetti western.
What if it's like vampires, just like, but their clothes are spaghetti?
Oh my god, I'm in.
I'm assuming it's vampires eating spaghetti through those fucking teeth.
What if they have revolvers that shoot spaghetti noodles?
just picturing fucking Quick and the Dead, but they're shooting each other with spaghetti.
It's
just a wet noodle hitting you in the face.
That own an Italian restaurant, and they have to kill people to get blood to serve on the spaghetti.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah,
but it's just,
but it's like old timey. It's just Danzig, yeah.
Like
he's like Papa Vampire.
Even all of the 5-star reviews are just like, this movie's dog shit. Like,
why would you give it a 5-star? Do you not understand how ratings can go?
Like one person gave it a 5-star review and still said that a movie makes no sense.
Okay, well,
these people are terrible. Give this movie the rating it deserves, which is half a star.
7 stars.
Or no rating, because it doesn't deserve even that.
Infinite stars.
Negative infinite stars. Take them away for the rest of time.
This is the ideal movie. You might not like it, but this is what peak cinema looks like. Somebody compared this movie to a Giallo movie, and I can't. Alright, just fucking talk about Leprechaun.
Okay, guys, because we're literally at the top craziest scene in this movie.
Third craziest scene.
What's the other one besides robot
Oh, I
lady?
don't know. I was just saying.
Oh. Okay, so the leprechaun shows up in the dressing room with Loretta, and he's essentially just like does a bunch of rhymes at her and basically makes her lips and boobs and butt slowly expand until she explodes. She explodes!
It rules so much. Like,
I can't even like describe what her face looks like.
It's so
it
weird
looks
because
terrible.
like it's not actually her lips. It's like the area around her lips, and
Yeah,
she
there's
looks like very duckish. It's so weird.
Yeah, there's like one part where it looks like her nose like disappears. It's insane.
I just like when like she goes to leave and gets stuck in the door because it's not even her butt. It's just like her hips get bigger.
Yeah. And it looks just ridiculous because it's like very like she herself stays the same size. It's just literally those three areas that expand. So it's like her butt cheeks expand off of her like I don't. It just is insane. Anyway, she explodes.
I
The
always
leprechaun is
like watching shit like this where like it has just yes, it's got like a super low budget, but like I always just think like The Thing came out a decade ago. Or like The Fly and like
and then you get Loretta exploding. And the leprechaun is basically just like, looks like rain, and he takes out an umbrella, and then, yeah, she explodes body pieces everywhere. So, Scott, they're back at the pawn shop. Scott is, like, watching the CD-ROM again. Tammy finds the medallion, and, Scott is like, gross, get that away from me, and she's like, okay, well, we should just like leave. And he's like, no, there's something here that I want. And he goes in the back and finds the gold. I'm a little confused as to why he does not possess his own pot of gold, but somehow he can do magic. He's not even like a full leprechaun at this point. So I don't know, but he uses magic to get the safe open. And Tammy is like, hey, we should destroy this gold because the CD-ROM said if you destroy the pot of gold, then you can get rid of the leprechaun forever. We know that's not true, but the leprechaun shows up and Tammy has like the shilling, and basically like she's like, oh no, Tammy just says, hey, make a wish that the leprechaun's dead. And so Scott tries and he says something like, I wish he was in cement and buried in the ocean or something like that, but it doesn't work because you can't use the gold against leprechauns. Go figure. Tammy just like throws a baseball at the leprechaun's head and he gets like knocked out, so they leave. And at this point Scott is like hella turning into a leprechaun, so they go to the hospital. This scene goes on really long, like in the hospital, but there's like some pretty funny stuff with like they're trying to figure out what's wrong with him because he looks just gross and gnarly because he's like turning into a leprechaun, but he's still like an adult size. And the doctors keep like ordering these tests that come out all wacky. Like they order an EKG and it's like a printout of like an EKG, but then there's just like a leprechaun stamp all over it. And then the doctors like go through Scott's stuff and find that he's got all that money, so they're like, wow, this guy's rich, let's order a bunch of x-rays and whatnot, which I mean is pretty true. Meanwhile, the leprechaun has entered the hospital. Instead of just using magic to get in there, he puts on a nurse's outfit, including like a wig. And he comes into the hospital and pages Tammy to come down to the morgue, and Tammy's like freaking out because she thinks maybe that Scott has died. So she goes down there and he traps her on a table. Meanwhile, Scott is like strapped to a table also, but he magics a saw over to him so that he can like cut himself free, and he like kills and or knocks everybody out, like all the doctors and nurses and stuff, and goes down to the morgue. So basically, Scott and the Leprechaun are just like rhyming at each other and like doing magic.
Just having a fucking battle rap.
Like
All I
essentially,
wanted from this film was that scene.
I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm pretty sure there's a scene where the Leprechaun raps in one of the Hood movies.
there's just no way that he doesn't.
I'm just now like remembering that probably happens, and I'm dreading it.
Yeah. Yeah, like given the way that his dialogue is going, I'm like a little worried to get to those movies, but so yeah, they're rapping and doing magic at each other, but Tammy has the medallion, and so essentially she like repels the Leprechaun and he wheels away on a gurney, giving them the middle finger. And like the whole time the Leprechaun is like trying to figure out, well, oh no, they have the coin. No, they don't have the coin. Fazio has the coin. So the Leprechaun's been trying to figure out where the coin is this whole time, and somehow he realizes that Fazio has it. So
They tell him, they're like fighting at the hospital, and they're just like, Fazio has it, and he's like, oh, all right, bye, and just leaves.
Okay, I missed that part. So yeah. He leaves. The Leprechaun shows up, and there's like magic happening. Fazio's trying to like go with it, because he's like, who the hell are you? And he's just like, I'm the Leprechaun. And so the Leprechaun like gets Fazio to go into that box where they do the trick where they like pretend to cut the lady in half, and she's not actually in half, but the Leprechaun uses a chainsaw and like chainsaws him. So yeah, much more deaths, because we have Gupta, we have Mitch, we have the two goons, we have Fazio, and we have Loretta. So this is like the opposite of all the other ones, because almost everybody dies.
Yeah. I think I saw this movie has like a 9-person death count, like body count, as opposed to like the rest of them are like 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
At least so far, I feel like everybody in space dies.
Oh. So. Oh yeah. So he saws Fazio in half. Scott and Tammy show up and are basically just like, everyone run, like this guy's crazy, and they do. Then Scott is like way turning into a leprechaun at this point, and the Leprechaun like brings his pot of gold here and is just like, hey Scott, come over here. He says, come to the green side. That was pretty funny. And he's like basically trying to entice him into like trick him into joining his side. So but then Tammy is just like, no Scott, you're not like that, which I'm like, you haven't even known each other for like an hour, but that's fine.
Yeah, this
so
relationship makes no sense to me, because they just like really like, because like I guess it is because there's no real backstory for them, like they knew each other prior. They're just like, all of a sudden they're just in love with each other and like gonna be together forever.
Right, because like he gives her a ride, but then they separate for most of the movie, and it's like really the only thing is that he is trying to like stand up for her when Mitch has like assaulted her or whatever, which great, but that's then they were separated again at the hospital, so they've spent like 15 minutes together.
Never underestimate what doing the bare minimum of caring for a person will do.
I mean, it's true, you know, and I also have not been attacked by a leprechaun with somebody, so maybe I would feel differently.
Also, imagine...
It creates quite the bond.
Imagine how much more you would love Chris if he started turning into a leprechaun.
Like, if he then didn't turn into a leprechaun?
Yeah, just imagine, like, if he looked like what's-his-name does and just turning into the leprechaun.
I don't want to.
What if he just, his stomach looked like ground meat?
Just his stomach. I'd be like, oh, jeez. We're not. Anyway. Yeah, the leprechaun tries to get Scott to come over to his side, and Tammy's essentially just like, no, Scott, you're better than that. And he's just like, you know what? You're right. And so Scott So I left this out earlier because I just didn't think it mattered. But like essentially, Fazio was trying to do this trick where he was gonna like catch a box on fire that Tammy was gonna disappear from, and there was like a whole thing with it. So he has this like it's not a flamethrower, but like it's some kind of device that has fire, and so Scott has that device now, and he basically uses it to torch the pot of gold, and the scene was pretty cool because the leprechaun catches on fire and just like literally flails around in the air for a while, and then he just like slaps on the ground and he is a skeleton. Scott is suddenly normal again, and Tammy just immediately kisses him, and they walk out of the casino, and Tammy has the shilling, and she's just like, hey, we can wish for anything that we want, but I think I have everything I need. And then she just like tosses the coin, and it's the end.
Yeah, this movie ends abruptly.
Scott says something like, I think this is the beginning to a beautiful friendship or some shit. And I was like, what the fuck? They just like flick the coin into the gutter and the end.
Huge.
I was hoping she'd be like, I've got everything I need right here, and then pull out the leprechaun skeleton and just bolt.
Just run off with the pot of gold.
Yeah.
I wish she would have pulled a Leela and been like, I want to be a witch.
Oh, yeah. That would have been awesome.
The end. So far, pretty much all of the movies end with people just being like, I don't need this ancient gold coin, and discarding it.
I mean, if the Leprechaun series teaches you anything, it's that love is all you need.
Is that what it's teaching us?
Apparently.
I guess so, yeah. Love with somebody you met 2 hours ago is all you need.
Also, it'll teach you that a leprechaun can explode out of somebody's dick at some point.
That's true.
Is that gonna happen?
You'll see.
Maybe.
I hope he says, in space, no one can hear you scream, and then busts out.
Y'all, I have some very, very good news from Weekly World News.
Yes!
News scheduled to end.
Oh, thank God. So tired of news.
Yes,
I mean, true.
Enough already, says human history.
I mean, what's that thing? We've moved past the need for news.
Yes. That's the only
News
update
is
I need.
over.
Shout out India for
Yeah, right? Hello.
I like a while back I signed us up for, I guess India has like their own kind of nationwide like podcast app that like it popped up on like the service we use. That was like, oh, do you want to like put your podcast on here? And I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? And India is now our second most listened to country.
That fucking rules.
So, if you're listening to us in India, hello. Email us.
Hello.
I hope you suffer
Howdy.
podcast@gmail.com and tell us what we're doing wrong. Also,
Unless
Send
it's about
us
me. I'm sensitive.
the It
yes,
miniseries.
if you could find us the It miniseries there on that I can watch in English subtitles, please send it to me because I want to see
I don't
it.
even care if there's subtitles. I want to watch it.
I do because I would
I'll
like
make
to
them.
know what's happening.
Nah, I just want to experience it.
I want to see that guy in the pool.
Look, I'm not lying. I would watch it without knowing what's going on because I want to see it, but send it to us. We'll do a chat cemetery fucking crossover.
Yes.
Alright. Any news, Katie?
Yes. The first news is something
Wait,
you guys.
hold on.
What?
I thought
Yes?
news was over.
Not
Oh.
yet. It's
We
going
just
to be
talked
over.
about this.
News is coming to an
How
end.
long do I have to wait?
It's coming to an end. Steve Krastansky is directing a sci-fi series for Day of the Dead.
I'm in.
Yes, 100%.
Connor Sweeney is Bob. Make it happen.
Oh my god. Connor Sweeney is everybody. Every zombie, every person. Yes, hard stand for that. Whew. Amazon has ordered a I Know What You Did Last Summer series. That's going to be directed by James Wan. Emma Roberts is set to produce a Netflix series called First Kill, which is going to be a vampire story based on a story that was written by V.E. Schwab, which I am really excited about because I love her books and I love Emma Roberts. So I'm excited about that. There's a documentary for Tremors called Tremors Making Perfection that is free on YouTube right now. Then the last thing I saw is Felissa Rose to star in a monster movie called Big Freaking Rat.
What a perfect title.
The
Have a double header
screenshot,
with big ass spider.
yes, the screenshot is literally just like a huge rat hand, like choking someone out. So I'm excited.
I have 2 stories I saw today. One is that Nicolas Cage was originally supposed to be Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, which would have been at least made it watchable.
Oh my God. I can't even fathom that.
Also would have probably ruined Viggo Mortensen's career.
I mean, does he have one?
Yeah, dude went on to do all kinds of shit.
Oh, never heard of him.
How dare you. Also, John Carpenter posted about it today. There's a documentary about, like, synths called The Rise of the Synths that...
Done. Yeah.
I thought you said simps. I was like, oh.
No, thank you.
John Carpenter simping.
That he like narrates...
You simp for John Carpenter. Go ahead.
He narrates the documentary. It's just kind of all about, I don't know, how synths came to be and just kind of like their cultural impact or whatever, but there's currently pre-orders for DVD, Blu-ray, and VHS sets that it looks pretty cool. I think I'm going to pre-order the VHS of it.
Are you saying synths like
yes,
music?
synths like the
okay,
instruments.
okay.
What did you think? I'm not saying simps. Why would John Carpenter...
I knew you didn't. I knew you weren't saying simps. I just like couldn't. I don't know what I thought you were saying. Synths.
I would watch a John Carpenter narrated documentary on simps, though.
Yeah.
You could also get an exclusive synth rider studded leather jacket.
What? Where?
You sold Kit. He's already pre-ordered.
The Rise of the
Googling
Synths
right now.
.com.
I'm gonna look at
Or
it.
just go to John Carpenter's Instagram. He's got like the link in his bio.
Damn, that's a cool jacket.
That's $300.
Well,
That's worth it, in my opinion.
the world's ending, right? You need that
Yeah.
jacket to ride it out.
Jacket looks ridiculous.
It's extremely sick.
Well, Christmas is coming. Hint, hint. I don't know.
We just need to get everyone to subscribe to the Patreon, and we can all get jackets.
Yeah, we could wear this jacket over our fucking Seinfeld ones.
Yes.
Over our
Stylish.
Seinfeld quarter zips. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. This documentary looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, so check that out if if you're either into synths or simps.
Really, yeah.
Either way,
if
can't
you're
go
a simp
wrong.
for sits, it's perfect.
Alright. Shout outs. Or fuck that, not just shout outs yet. What did you guys watch anything good this week?
I don't know, did I?
Katie, did you watch
Been a week.
Veronica yet?
Oh, what? No. I will never. Yes, so I watched all of The Haunting of Bly Manor in one sitting, and It was amazing. Obviously it got a lot of hate because people are like, well, it's not as scary as the first one, but like, shut up. It's not supposed to be. The ending still ruined me. It was really good. I highly recommend. Then I also watched this movie called The Lodge, which I had seen people like talk about a while ago, and I'm still trying to like piece together how I felt about it. It's fucked up, man.
I hated it.
Did you?
I liked the first half, and then the big like twist kind of thing happens, and it was just so stupid. It made me mad.
I just wish that like, well, whatever. We're not going to talk about it. There's just like aspects of it that I wish that they like went into more, which would have made what happens in it like
It
more
seems very
believable
abrupt
to me. Yeah.
like
yes,
there's a lot where it's like, well, none of that makes any sense. Like,
And really, I'm going to tell you, the only reason I watched it is because, like, we're having another heat wave, and it takes place, like, in a cabin in wintertime, and it was all snowy, and I was like, maybe if I watch this, I won't feel like it's 97 degrees in my apartment, but...
that's a pretty good reason.
And I'm not going to super go into this because it's going to be a part of a Patreon article for next week, but I finally watched Impetigore.
Super good.
I don't know what to say aside from if you like extremely fucked up movies, you should go watch it.
And hate Skin. If you hate Skin, it's your movie.
Or if you simp for Skin.
Or you like puppets.
Simp for Skin.
Yes. Ew, no. No.
Alright, Kit, do you watch anything good?
Like going totally not spooky, season appropriate. I watched The Straight Story, and it was really good.
What's that?
It is a David Lynch film
Oh,
he did for Disney.
Okay, yeah.
The guy that rides his tractor across the country to go see his dying brother.
I assumed maybe you were watching like anti-LGBTQ documentaries now.
This is the start of my descent into Q.
Yeah.
No, it's like a really nice, sweet little film, and it made me feel good for like 4 minutes, which
and then you
is nice.
realized news hadn't ended yet.
Ended, yeah.
Yeah, the news kept going.
I really need to like everything that I've watched recently has been like insanely messed up and left me not feeling like it just. Then like the thing that we started watching to like wind down at night is Trailer Park Boys, and that's just so chaotic. I just am like level 10 all the time now.
I watched 5 movies, 4 of which had Nick Cage, 1 of which I watched twice.
What?
So I watched The Color Out of Space twice.
Yeah.
So good.
Because it's perfect. I then followed that with the 2010 German version of The Color Out of Space, which is also pretty good. Slightly boring because it's like more faithful to the story, I guess.
That tracks.
There's no people fused together in it, or alpacas. So
what are you doing?
I also rewatched Mandy, which rules still.
Perfect film.
Yes, I bought like those VHSs. I finally just kind of like watched that on VHS, and very good. I watched a movie with Nick Cage called Primal. That was.
Oh, I almost watched that the other night.
It's fine.
I'm not a fan.
I mean, I can't say that anything other than Nick Cage being in it like I enjoyed. It was just like,
yeah,
it's very like mid-90s action movie, but like made in 2019 or some shit.
I'm just mad that it was such a good concept that you could like very easily go super wild with, and that movie was pretty restrained.
Well, I think the thing I didn't like is I didn't like the guy who plays the like serial killer in it or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like his acting in it, and I think if you would have had like somebody better, I think I would have liked it more. Like I don't know, he played it very like cartoony, which I was not into.
Oh, you guys know what I watched recently?
Was it Ghost
Batman
Okay.
Ghost
Beyond.
Rider with Nick
You
Cage? Because that's my other movie.
No, you said serial killer, which made me think of that movie that I was talking about last time that had Crispin Glover as a serial killer, which made me think of Crispin Glover. Is that I watched Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, and I had not seen the first one in like long enough to really even remember. Like I didn't really know most of what was happening, and I had never seen the second or the third one. And I can't really say that I'm a fan.
Unbelievable.
So
I
I have like a weird, complicated thing with Back to the Future where like as a kid I loved them, and then it was one of those movies where like it was kind of like Ghostbusters, where all of a sudden it like built that like fucking fan base of like just terrible people that wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, and I was like, fuck Back to the Future, these movies were trash. And then
like
I rewatched all three of them in like one day, and I was like, these movies are pretty good.
I really liked the first one a lot, and then the second one I didn't like as much, but I did appreciate like I did appreciate how they showed like what was happening while stuff was happening in the first one, how they were like intertwined or whatever. But the third one, why? I question everything about it.
I like 3, but it's definitely like the worst of the series. There's like, I don't know, there's parts of it I like a lot. There's like, what I think for the majority of it, just like, this was kind of unneeded. Especially like, because once like all the future stuff in 2 is super cool.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, never mind, he's in the West.
Yeah.
Should have went to the far future instead.
Should have went farther than
Or
future that's already happened here.
Back to the Future in Jurassic times, and he's got to figure out how to fix the flux capacitor with dinosaurs around.
He has to put it.
And he can't, so he gets eaten.
Yes.
He has to put it on a bunch of like little velociraptors, and he has to strap them to his feet so they get up to 88.
Yes. I will watch that movie.
But they
Yes.
I would.
Anyway, Ghost Rider, perfect movie. Everybody watch it. All right, shout outs. Go, Katie.
I'm gonna shout out the movie Satanic Panic on Shudder.
I have not watched that. I've seen kind of mixed things about it.
I really liked it. I watched it just like yesterday or the day before. I basically like went through and tried to catch up on a bunch of Shudder originals, and I had watched that one just because I wanted to watch it when it came out, and then I realized that it's a Shudder exclusive, not an original. So I really liked it. It has like a really kick-ass soundtrack. It's like super over-the-top gore. And I think one of the writers, I don't know what else, he did something else on it, is that author Grady Hendrix that I like. And I didn't know that until afterwards, but I think you'll think it's fun.
I'll probably watch it at some point. I feel like anytime I log into Shudder, I'm always just like, I don't really have an idea what I want to watch, and I'll just leave it on like the TV thing for a little bit, or they get like a specific thing that I want to watch, like what they did with like Mandy or Color Out of Space.
Yeah, I recommend that, and then if you're also looking for if anyone wants to watch like an anthology type thing, I also really liked Scare Package.
Also like another one I need to watch that I actually seen a lot of people say it's really good, but I just haven't gotten to.
Yeah.
What about you, Kit?
I'm gonna go with Sturgill Simpson he released a bluegrass album today. Just like reworked the entirety of his catalog into bluegrass songs, and it rules.
Oh yeah, I like when like bands do that, like where they like if it's like something different. I hate when like a band just like re-records like an album they did before, but it doesn't sound like any different. They just sounds like newer.
Yeah,
But I like when like bands will do shit like that where they like a totally
like an
different
Exodus
style or
with
whatever.
Bonded
Yeah.
by Blood.
Yeah. I was specifically thinking about Census Fail re-recording their first EP, but just sounding like Census Fail still.
Yeah, like
We're old now, and it sounds better, I guess.
There's I think it's probably still on Spotify. Let me see if I can figure out what it was called. But there was a bluegrass band that did a tribute to songs from The Simpsons.
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
it fucking rules. I used to listen to it all the time.
I've been like watching through those because Disney Plus has a channel that's just like all of the Treehouse of Horror, and I haven't finished it, but I've like it's just like been surprising me how many of them I remember, because I didn't feel like I watched Simpsons for that long, but I'm at like nice animation and I still remember them. So
this was
and then
this was part of the Pickin' On series, BT Dubs. It's called Four Finger Music, bluegrass tribute to The Simpsons, and I highly recommend it. It's good. They do Dr. Zaius and bluegrass, and it's perfect. Anyway, Treehouse of Horror.
yeah, I'm not done with it. The newest one will air the day before this episode drops, I think. I'm pretty sure. So
Oh, they're actually airing it before Halloween as opposed to how they usually do, which is after Halloween.
after, I'm pretty sure it's definitely before. I think it's either the 18th, which is when the Bob's Burgers one drops, or it's the 25th. But I'm pretty sure it's before.
At this point, those are usually like the only ones I'll watch when they air, because that's just most of the regular episodes are garbage now.
Yeah.
I was like pretty up to date. I was still watching every episode as of like maybe 3 years ago, and then I just stopped.
Yeah. I remember, and I was like, how?
Well, like, because there's usually like, even like the episodes that aren't good, like The Simpsons can still write like a good joke.
Right.
So like there's usually like good stuff in every episode. It's just like, I don't know, they just became very Family Guy-y, and I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Alright, my shout out is because we watched Leprechauning Las Vegas. I forget what we said it was at the beginning. Leaving
Leper
Vegas.
leaving Las
leaving
Vegas?
leaving
Lep
Left
Vegas.
Vegas.
I'm suggesting Las Vegas band Curlupanddie. Go listen to them, because they're very good and one of my all-time favorite bands, and probably the only one I'm aware of from Las Vegas. Alright, next week, if you haven't figured it out yet, Leprechaun 4 in space. 10 out of 10 movie.
I'm excited.
It's so stupid. It rules so
There's
much.
so much space.
I'm excited because like the thing that I've enjoyed about the last three is that they're like pretty grounded, right? Like he's a leprechaun, so magic and crazy shit happens because of that, but like the circumstances that he finds himself in and like the environment still seems like pretty authentic to me, and so I'm excited to see one where it's just like he's not gonna be in space. You know what I mean? Like
this movie is bonkers and has one of the weirdest character designs in a movie I've seen. Like it's just like I don't even know how to explain it. The guy that's in the chair kit.
Yeah.
It's fucking.
Oh, I do.
It's so ridiculous. I can't wait to hear your thoughts of this movie. I think we might have a guest for it.
The Leprechaun.
Yes, Warwick Davis.
Oh my
I
god.
found a piece of gold. I hope he does not put the pot over my head
Yeah.
and
So-
whack it with a
It's
shillelagh.
been a long game to get the Leprechaun. Told me I could have a piece of gold if I got him to kit. So, yeah, Leprechaun 4 next week. You can join our Patreon, where Katie's been doing all kinds of stuff on it this month.
Yep, all kinds.
I think when we hit if we hit $75 a month, I'm gonna start doing a weekly thing where I'll do like a little mini podcast review of every Nick Cage movie in order. So subscribe, force me to do that. Patreon.com/IHopeYouSuffer podcast. Let's see. Katie's been doing snack reviews on there. Did a thing about Castlevania recently.
I showed it.
Uh,
I've got 2 reoccurring segments. One is Katie's Game Vault. Essentially, I'm just pulling stuff out of my
Vault.
very diminished game collection, but a lot of it is older stuff. And then the other one is Snack Corner. So I posted Snack Corner, second Snack Corner today. And so by the time you guys are listening to this, there's 2 videos, 2 articles, and then later this week will be another video and a article reviewing Shudder originals.
Yeah. Go, I think, like, those are for any tier, and then if I do, like, we hit the point where I do the Nick Cage thing, I'll leave those as any tier as well. It'll still just be, like, the regular bonus episodes will still be the $5 and $10 tiers.
Yeah.
You could buy shirts at storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes and other things if that's available. I need to update our Twitter because I got our Twitter suspended for good. We have a new Twitter account, which it would be awesome if you would go follow if you were before, because Twitter suspended my other one, or the other one, for asking them if it was okay to say Trump. It would be cool if Trump died from COVID after they cut off fucking any talk about a stimulus thing.
The answer was clearly no.
Yeah, I appealed it and just said, I know you're not going to give the account back, but can you at least answer my question? And I have not heard back yet, so...
Your move, Twitter.
Our new Twitter is at IHYSPod. Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. When this is out, Caitlin and I were just on an episode of Defenders of the Cake, so you can go listen to that, talking about the difference between New Jersey and Ohio and a bunch of other bullshit, and I yell about Alex Jones for a little bit.
When don't you?
I have 14 episodes left of Knowledge Fight until I'm caught up. Out of they're almost
2 months.
No, I'll probably finish that by the end of the week, because I usually get through 5 or 6 episodes at work now. So I'll be caught up definitely by the next time we record, and then I'll be sad. They're at like 492 episodes, I think. I've done in like a year and a half.
Jeez.
Yeah, go do that. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Commission her to make turkey art of you.
I'll draw someone as a turkey if they want.
Yeah, have her draw you as Turkey from Thanksgiving.
That's exactly.
I was trying to convince Katie that in November, instead of like the spooky Halloween pictures she's doing now, she should just do everybody as a turkey. Get people to commission that, and then just do like January could be I don't know, do them as like those popper things people do like for New Year's Eve and shit.
A head exploding into confetti.
Yes. When's Arbor Day?
Maybe.
May. You just draw people's
Treeple.
trees. Just draw them into the Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Alright. Watch Leprechaun 4 in space. all the time. Not even just for our episode. Just watch it.
Just have it on loop.
Yeah. All right. I hope you suffer, but Leprechaun.
I can't top that.
Lights out, Katie.
No.
Guerrilla Radio.